now be moving on to Emily Whyte, who's a Year 12 at Orewa College.
Can everyone hear me? It is 2055. We've not made enough of an effort beyond the 2015 Paris Agreement. Some of the world focused their efforts on reducing deforestation, while others implemented limits in their industrial emissions. But unfortunately, the rest of the global population sat, watched, and did nothing. Before opening the windows in the morning or going outside, first you have to check that the rain is safe for your skin and that the air is safe to breathe. The atmosphere is hot, it is heavy, and it is clogged with particle pollution from the years we spent choking our atmosphere with fossil fuels and forest fires. We used to wear masks to protect ourselves from COVID-19, but now we have to wear them to avoid the air that we have poisoned. Coastal countries such as Aotearoa, Mexico, and America have suffered severe infrastructural damage due to the flooding because of the elevated sea levels we said were not important enough to stop the burning of coal, oil, and gas. Millions of people are now displaced, and thousands have lost their lives. The window of time that we had to save our planet has long closed, and the effects are irreversible. My first visual memory is walking through Cornwall Park with my family, surrounded by greenery and a bright blue sky. I can still remember the way that the air smelled and the way that the grass felt underneath my hands. Aotearoa is known for our beauty, with our rolling green hills and our expansive lake and bush. Funnily enough, the land of the long white cloud is globally recognized for being the first equal for the cleanest air among the 13 countries surveyed in a Singapore-based climate analysis. However, we are only the 5th most ecologically conscious in Asia Pacific overall, because we are let down by our plastic waste. Personally, I grew up angry at the people that came before me for wiping out our native wildlife. The moa, the 120 species of geese, the ducks, there's too many to list. But now, as I've grown older, I realize that we are doing the exact same thing by having the means to stop the rising sea levels, the air pollution, and the contamination of our ocean, but apparently not the will, the motivation, or the compassion to do so. If we continue to do this, we will continue to follow down the path of destruction, and we will endanger our future even more. Climate change impacts every single living creature on the planet. It is not something that affects you based on your age, your politics, or your beliefs. The young lefties don't have a monopoly on advocacy. This is proven again and again throughout the history of New Zealand. We can see that it has always been abundant in protests and rallies, all the way from Kate Shepherd's suffragette movement to protest against nuclear energy. The unifying theme is that change comes from the people of New Zealand, and more often than not, it comes from the voices of those that have previously been unheard. Often change can feel unreachable, but it's not. It comes from the millions of people doing the small things. It comes from the school children striking in the streets of Auckland Central, eating less livestock produce and respecting and protecting green spaces. It is also integral to understand the importance of Indigenous leadership and te kanga perspectives in our society, and to consider the Maori perspective on climate change. For example, if as a populace we were to adopt the value of kaitiakitanga, while taking action for the climate crisis, this would further establish connectivity between the people and the land, leading to a clearer, greener Aotearoa, as the Maori perspective values the land, the conservation and the protection, while the Western view tends to centre around the idea that land is a commodity to be owned and sold. A prime example of the contrast between the two perspectives is the current occupational battle at Putiki Bay, between the developers and the Kaitiaki defending the land. We don't have one answer that will solve climate change. What we do know is it will take a globally unified effort to save our planet. I believe that one of the biggest mistakes that we can make is to leave the fate of our future generations up to the people that care more about green than green. My generation has grown afraid, but now we are passionate. We are assuming the responsibility, and we are ready to make a change. Whether that change is choosing to walk or take public transport instead of driving, switching to a more eco-conscious energy provider, or advocating for Maori land ownership, changing your lifestyle on a micro level on a smaller scale can make and will make a huge difference. And so I ask you, what will you do? What changes will you make? I hope your actions speak as loud as your words do, because I know that we don't have time to go backwards. Thank you.
Kia ora, Emily. It's just so great to hear so much kōrero about making waves and change making.